There
other
are,
things.
and this is the thing. I mean, I do this story about three guys uh, on the way home from the Sermon on the Mount, and they give three entirely. They just heard
Yeah,
such an extraordinary piece of speaking that has lasted for so long, and
right.
they had three totally different takes on it.
Yeah,
From the absolutely ecstatic, my life has changed, to this is, I
that's
just another
funny.
one of those wandering, you know, one of
That
those
explains.
wandering magicians that comes along. I've seen the fish was dry,
Yeah,
you know,
we
that
waited
kind of a
out
thing.
there for
So
so
that's
long.
yeah,
I've had that, you go to a concert and you have a mind blowing experience, and depending on where they were in the room, someone else was like, it was all right, or vice versa. It's
that's my point,
so interesting
isn't it?
and kind of terrifying at
Yeah,
the same time. But
and that's where being, I guess, that point of really understanding how do we be true to ourselves? How do we get that confidence?
yeah, to just do it regardless
Yeah,
um, of anyone's experience happening out there.
but that you
That's
know it's
hard.
right, but that you know it drives you, it moves you, it excites you. I mean, I saw that in in your vlog when you went to see Mary Chapin Carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as you were
Yeah.
talking about that, I mean, there was just this excitement and this presence that was so much. I mean, it was just,
Yeah.
it's compelling.
Yeah. That is a thing I can always, her music and whole thing, I just have gravitated to since I was 11 years old. It's crazy. I don't know. But I know that. So I try to, when she tours, I try to go see it because I know that will be like a huge moment in my whole creative sphere at that time. I will always feel amazing walking out of there, which is not guaranteed in just about anything else I do, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
I know not most anyone else in my general circle would not have that experience at a Mary Chapin show. They might like it,
yeah,
they might hate it, but they have their thing they can go see,
exactly.
whatever it is.
That
Hitchcock
that's my
movies.
point.
Yeah.
Is that we each have a thing
Mm-hmm.
that just lights us up. That
Yeah.
just says
And I can
yes.
ride that wave for like weeks. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's so fun. Because you can see a good movie or whatever and be like, that was cool, and think about it the next day. And then you're kind of on to your other things. But it's intense when you feel that much like power for uh, music changing you like that in person.
when you're on stage and you see it happening. I was doing a story on George Strait,
Mm.
and I'm standing here, not, I mean, we're right at the edge of the stage, and he's right there, and I'm watching him. This is like 1983, whatever. He was just getting big, and
Wow.
but I was watching him make that connection to the audience and watching it back and forth, and
Huh.
I just went, "Holy shit! I'd never seen anything like that."
Wow.
It was that. I mean, it was just that experience of that. I mean, do you
Yeah.
get that? Do you get that when?
I mean, probably not on a George Strait level,
Still, let's not.
um,
Yeah, but
but when the night is right at a show and it's crowd and your mood and the the words come out right in between songs and they think you're hilarious and then they sing I don't know, there are some nights that are magical and then there are ones that are work,
yeah,
so
and you
which
can't.
both are valuable.
I'm not sure that that's something that's controllable.
I don't think so either. Because you can have the same venue with the same people a week later and it's totally different. And I don't really understand. I can't control the room that much. Maybe some people can. I think some people are way that externally driven. They can control a room.
Hmm.
I know that I can bring my songs to the room, but I don't necessarily know that I can manipulate. And I don't know that I want to manipulate
Yeah,
a room like that. But when the feedback loop is in its good, like, yay and yay, then everyone's having a good time.
where are you in that creative? This arc that you're getting at the time of you. Are you in a really creatively fertile place right now? You know, lots of stuff popping up. You were talking about.
Yeah, a lot of stuff this year has just happened kind of I don't know if it's by nature of being ready or being open and all that kind of stuff, but lots of co-writing and the playing a residency at Threadgill's every Wednesday for a couple of months at a time is a real grounding thing that I haven't had in Austin before. Usually it's like, where am I going to play next? I don't know, over here.
Yeah.
And having a relationship with a venue that they're invested in you being successful because you're going to be there next week again, and
Yep.
you're invested in making them happy. It's a really interesting back and forth there. So that's been great. And traveling a little bit more to play music has been fun as well. And yeah, there's just been neat opportunities pop up with a lot of groundwork with all those blogs along the way, I guess.
Which it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, footwork.
Yeah.
You know, I think about that
years.
is that if I'm into the results, I'm out of my power. But if I'm in the footwork, just Dennis, do the damn footwork.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think Shawnee's good at that. She writes a song a week. Like, you know, she does it. It's not like I have to write a song because I need to, you know, she's not doing it for a record or
Right.
So many people are like, I'm writing my new record, and then there's this like air of like heaviness to it
Exactly.
because
But
everything has to be great.
But you've got 2 albums in process.
I
You've
do.
got some albums in process, and so you're gestating.
I'm gestating, and I went into both those projects thinking I got songs for these records, and then by the happenstance of my producers being cool with it and our timing on me being in town and them being available, sometimes I'm like, I have a new song that didn't exist when we started this, but we might consider it for this one. And then actually I'm gonna take this one from the folk record pile and put it in the pop record pile, and like it's like a game of, I don't know.
Well, play
moving
something
things
for us.
around.
Play something that will because I want to talk a little more about music, because I need some music understanding. Would you play something for us?
I will play some music. This song's called As Long as It Feels Right.
Ooh.
I broke down in Minnesota, both by temperament and car. And I got baptized with the hood up while the summer monsoon roared. See, I am good at my own buttons. I will push them till I break. And when I finally fall apart, I punch a fist into the ache. Gotta keep my eyes bright. I will see the sun. I'm walking with a flashlight, one foot in front of the other one, as long as it feels right. So I wake the day up fighting, burn horizons from both ends. I fight the fire, monopolizing all my thoughts when I'm in bed. And I'm fighting for the kindness in its incremental sparks. For all the souls that are the lions, let their love roar in the dark. Gotta keep my eyes bright. I will see the sun. I'm having a, I'm sorry. I should have drank more water.
No, that's
start over?
wonderful.
This is not live TV, is it?
Oh, absolutely. It's as
You're like,
live
"This
as
is
it
good."
gets. This
I'm
is
sorry. I was like, I got to get through this song without choking.
no. That I am so glad, because this is what life
I feel
is.
better.
Life is, how do we get through
That's true.
our life without choking? How do we handle these moments, and how do we deal with them, especially as you're in the middle of playing and
Yeah.
you're getting. Tell me where that song came from.
Let's see. There's a couple of threads there.
Hold on one second.
Okay.
Sure. Good. Then we'll just go ahead and we'll do the song again then.
Yes.
All right? Sure. Pardon? Say that again? Sure. I will. Cool. We're going to do it again.
Rad.
All right.
Because there's more to the song.
Good. All right. Tell me when you're ready. Good. All right. So, all right. Anyway. I want some music.
Okay.
Would you please give us some musical, I mean, Jana, having you on it's part of what I want to learn, and I have many questions to ask about music, so give us an introduction.
All right. Here is some music. Yeah. The song's called As Long as It Feels Right.
All right.
I broke down in Minnesota, both by temperament and car. And I got baptized with the hood up while the summer monsoon roared. See, I am good at my own buttons. I will push them till I break. And when I finally fall apart, I punch a fist into the ache. Gotta keep my eyes bright. I will see the sun. I'm walking with a flashlight, one foot in front of the other one, as long as it feels right. So I wake the day up fighting, burn horizons from both ends. I fight the fire, monopolizing all my thoughts when I'm in bed. And I'm fighting for the kindness in its incremental sparks, for all the souls that are the lions who let their love roar in the dark. Gotta keep my eyes bright. I will see the sun. I'm walking with a flashlight, one foot in front of the other one, as long as it feels right. As long as it feels right. And it's the storm in Minnesota, it's the road that takes me home. And it's the fight I pick out every time. I can't stand to be alone. And it's the clouds that pull the storm up. It's the company I keep. And it's the things my mother said out loud when she thought I'd gone to sleep. And it's the sun that breaks the clouds up, the first deep breath after the flood. It's the magnetic force that binds us, all the iron in our blood. We gotta keep our eyes bright. We will see the sun. We're walking with a flashlight, one foot in front of the other one, as long as it feels right. As long as it feels right.
That song has so much depth to your story in it, and my story.
Yeah.
So I was playing
Good.
both. As I was sitting there listening to you, I was hearing your story and really seeing what you put in.
Yeah, I
To
feel
that.
like that's, I don't, what's the right term? That's like my mantra song.
Yeah.
When I wrote it, I was like, oh, this is my, this is a thing that I'm going to keep.
Yeah, and
But-
that's what and that's what I felt in it, and it was so much. And I love the idea that our light cannot be outside of us. We have to bring the light. Bring the light. It doesn't do that, and that's
Yeah. It's a hard lesson to learn, and I have to remind myself all the
over
time.
and over and over. And that's
Yeah.
the re-lesson. That's the reminding
Yeah.
that we have.
Sometimes it's not a bright light, but it's there.
Never. Exactly. Precisely. We don't know whether it is, but we just got to keep following that. Now, is that a pop song, a folk pop? And because I want to ask you, because one of the things that I love about being my age and having grown up in the 60s and 70s, and then being this time in 2019, September, when we're starting this doing the show, is that I really have been able to expand of what I know I'm ignorant about. Because there is so much more to know about than I ever would have known about.
Yeah.
And now,
That makes
because I
sense.
now understand that they're vast, so I can ask questions like, please help me understand this word pop, this word folk, what these things mean, and how they work in it, and how they work in you as an artist.
Sure. That is a great question. That song's going on the folk album I'm making, but I think I've come to accept about myself that I've ingested so much pop music that it comes out, whether it's melodic wise or phrasing wise.
So what does that mean, though? What does the word pop music mean? So I'm trying to understand that as a non-musician. What do we say? How do you explain it to us?
I think in the most generic term, it's popular music. Which means nothing really other than it's in what we in songwriter land. And I grew up a folk. I grew up a folky. I was very snobbish personally about what I listened to. I grew up on Lilith Fair happened when I was in high school, which was amazing. So there are all these women songwriters floating about, and I gravitated toward the Sean Colvin and the Mary Chapin Carpenters, and because they're known for their craft and their lyrics and their words. And so I shunned anything on the radio at the time, which was probably NSYNC and Britney Spears. But not realizing that Sean and Mary Chapin and Ani DeFranco are also instilled with this. It's a melody line, I think, that will not let you go. It's as much craft, paid attention to the arrangement and the structure of the song and the melody line as it is to the lyrics. And once I started clicking those things together, like, songwriting gets so much richer. And not to say Americana and folk artists don't focus on melody and stuff, but if you go write a song in LA with people, you're in a room with at least 3 people usually, where you have someone doing tracks, someone writing words, and then someone's just there to sing a top line, which is just making up a melody. But they're getting paid the same amount if a song gets cut, because they came up with that melody that everyone is singing in their car and can't get out of their head at night, which is such an insane impact to have on somebody. If even if they don't remember your words the first time, if the melody is in there, that's kind of impressive, And I'm not saying I hit that mark on it in my stuff all the time, but once I started looking to that and appreciating that's why it's popular music. It will not get out of your mind.
Exactly.
Which is what's what we all want as artists,
And that, all right. Well, thank you. That's what I wanted to understand.
For me only. That's what I want as an artist. I want to be stuck in your brain. Other artists.
So you're right now in the middle of working on at least 2 EPs plus other projects, starting a podcast, doing that. So tell me a little bit about the process right now and the creative process in one of these albums.
It's great. Okay, so my folk pop project it's called 1, 2, 3 Scream, which is me and Mark Addison, who's a great producer here in Austin. And he found me because I played he has a concert series at his studio called Tips Concerts, and I played it, and I played a song that I call my folk rap, and he's like, "Have you recorded that?" And I said, "No, I just feel like it's too weird to, how am I going to do this?" And Mark comes from he had a few bands in the 80s and 90s and spent some time in LA, and he was a staff, he had a publishing deal where he wrote songs for like everyone from Cher to Joan Baez, which I think is hilarious.
Wow.
Mark's had songs cut by those two artists specifically, which just blows my mind. And he loves experimenting in the studio. So I was like, all right, well, here's this folk rap. And we had such a blast recording that. He said, what else do you have? And I was like, well, I have, I took him a batch of stuff I had just written that was right at the time. It was fortuitous that I had embraced that I love Taylor Swift and Rihanna and all that kind of stuff. And so I was trying to write more in that vein. And so we made an EP last year called Lit. And it was such an equal partnership in that I brought Mark the songs, but he spent so much care. There's layers of synthesizers, and he tells a story through his production, which I appreciate so much. If you listen through a 1, 2, 3 Scream song, something changes at every verse or chord. Like, it's not like he's just like, and now we put the chorus instrumentation in for the third time. It's like there's a story being told there too. And so when you put that together, so we call it smart words with good beats. That's what we wanted to bring forth with that. So it's an equal partnership there. And
God,
it's
how
been
much fun.
Yeah, and so I'm so fortunate that when I have a song that I'm like, this would be cool for Mark, I just take it in, I do my strummy strum, and he goes into his mad laboratory and sends something back later that usually hits a mark that I had never thought of, which is really cool. And I knew we would get along because when we were in the middle of that first process, he's like, so I was listening to the new Taylor Swift record, and I was like, oh, good, okay, you're fine. Yeah. We're going to get along great. Thank you for even respecting that, Because that's an interesting part of being a songwriter, and in a city that Austin is so magical and unique, and then not attached in a lot of ways to the super factory song cities like LA and Nashville, to where we shun that a little bit. So it becomes a little bit of a weird thing to say, I really love these pop songs. In some circles, a lot of people I know love it too, but sometimes I've had to come to fisticuffs over Taylor Swift. But
have you noticed the circles getting larger? Are you finding that that people's levels of acceptance? I'll give you an example. I watch a lot of television. I come from the television, and I feel that the fact that people are just exposed to every 30-second commercial has taken such art, and there's an art director, and there's work in this, that we're exposed to a degree of art that is having an impact, and music, and that's having an impact in growing consciousness of the human being at this time.
And I do think the circle is getting bigger, just in that we have so much more input and access to anything we want. I pay for, musicians talk about the merits and bad sides of streaming, but I pay money to a streaming service, and I can listen to most anything recorded at any time. So when I'm reading the New Yorker article about Linda Ronstadt, I can pull it up, and I don't have to drive to the record store, which in itself there's a sad note there, but it's also kind of amazing.
Exactly.
And to dig into that catalog, or to get the new whoever put out a record yesterday at midnight when it comes out is incredible.
I know.
We are never at a loss for that. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but
it is. And so how do you filter out, or do you use a process to, spin a slot machine and say, see what comes out? Or how do you make sure you're expanding and growing in your appreciation?
Yeah, great question. Because sometimes I feel like I listen to what I really want to listen to, and I have, a top 5 that at the end of the year, Spotify will give you your most listened to art, and it's like, yep, same thing as last year. It goes back to that, what core pieces of art fuel you, and so I find myself listening to that over and over again. But discovery is a very key thing too, and honestly, sometimes the algorithm, whatever that is, spits things at me based on what I listen to, and I skip a lot, and then something will, and I don't know if it's the day, my mood, my hormone balance, or whatever, a song will hit me, and I find my new favorite band. You know, it's kind of insane. So to think that we're spinning on that random wheel of chance, and someone might hear a 1, 2, 3 Scream song and think that one day in 3 years, I don't know, that would be wonderful if that happens. But to pin hopes on that is also self-defeating. So, you know, it's like, go away, make your art, put it out how you have to, and then go away again and make some more art.
And then to see, because we can't know when the pin is going to drop.
Right, no. I've seen it happen to friends where all of a sudden something crazy happens and a song gets picked up for a thing, or they get an opening spot on a tour.
Yeah,
and then I have friends that make beautiful records that 25 people listen to.
Exactly.
That's fine too.
and that has to be that way, though. I think in my sense is because the minute I am attempting to reverse engineer to something popular and to come backward,
attempting to reverse engineer something popular, you're already about a month or a month to 2 years behind. You know, like by the time it gets to fruition, the thing has already. That's where I get in the world of pop. There's the new stuff, and you can go down the list of new releases this week, and you can hear stuff that they have just tried to make what sounds like was a hit a month ago. And I'm like, you're using the exact same sound. Stop it. Can't you? There's lots of sounds in the world. Try them.
That's where you're getting a chance to do. So do you write in the morning? Do you get up in the morning and pull out something? Are you an evening person, or where are your areas that you like to?
Oh man, lately it's night, more toward evening. I think the whatever gets stirred more. I have my first EP that I made when I moved to Austin with Daniel Barrett, one of my best friends and a producer of many things I've done. We called it The Early Year because he was working a job and I was working at the county government. And so I had to be at work at 7:30 in the morning.
And I would come up to you in the county government. Where were you working?
At the, I worked in the 4-H department with the extension office for Travis County. It's an insane job. When you look at anything I've done in my life, and you would not pick that job for me to be qualified for, but they hired me because I could blog. So it was good for a year and a half, and then I quit. But I had to be at work at 7:30, so I would get up. Dan and I made a pact to get up at like 5:30 and write separately. But we were in it together, and that's how I wrote the songs for that first record. So there's a magic to the morning, and I know it. And I go in cycles where I will get up really early and respect it. And currently I'm not in that cycle.
Speaking of cycles, one of the things that I'm learning about is what is happening right now with women coming into the power structure, coming into at every level. We're watching, as a communication coach, I get a chance to work with people all around the world. And I'm seeing, because I'm alone with men, and I know that men are talking about women differently than only a few years ago. They're actually talking to them as leaders or what they're doing. I mean, there is a shift. It's subtle. We're not all the way there.
Yeah.
Please don't, don't. I know I'm very. Oh, everything's fine and wonderful, and I know. Yeah, that's fine. You're a white male approach, fine. Yeah. But the point being is that something shifted.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that both in your life, both as a business person and as a musician, and as a political animal too, because we're both involved in politics?
Yeah. Great question. I will simultaneously say I've been fortunate to be around people that I don't feel like have marginalized me, or I haven't been in those higher up musical things yet, where maybe it becomes more of an issue. I have a good group around me, and Austin is so personable, and we're a tight group. So I can't say knowingly that I've been part of an overt misogynistic take on something I've done, but I also know I notice that all the time, the washing over of how people review women's records versus men, or who there's always a token female spot on a festival bill in this state still, and you can usually pick out which one's gonna get the gig versus all the dudes.
Sure.
And it just is what it is, and certain people argue that it's financially driven and nothing more. And but the larger conversation has to be, how do we shift it so that women artists are seen as just as financially viable because their art is just as good, because that's true.
Yeah.
There's this new band called the High Women that is a collaboration. It's Brandi Carlile and Amanda Shires and Maren Morris, who's like a pop country, hit maker, and Brandy's been in the folk world for a long time, and they're all together, and I was curious to see what would happen, and all that is happening is you can see how happy they are to be working together and writing some really great songs, and people are clamoring to go to those shows for good reason. I don't like to cite one thing as a token, look, it's working now, same thing,
Sure.
and I don't think
But
that,
these are the harbingers. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
actually calling to us and letting us know something has shifted. You
Something
can't
is
go
shifting.
backward.
Exactly.
We can't let that, once that genie's out of the box and people know how empowered they are and they're excited, and there's a little girl sitting there and listening to it and going, oh.
Oh, totally.
You can't go back from that.
No, that's why, I latched on to Mary Chapin Carpenter at such a young age. At 11, when I was thinking I wanted to play guitar, is she was the only one on country music television back when they showed videos. She was the only one in her videos playing guitar. And then the thing would pop up at the bottom and it would say writers and it would just say Carpenter. And I was like, what? Because everyone else has, and not to diss the writer's room,
Right.
but 3 or 4 co-writers, and usually there's a band behind them and they're standing there singing. And she really showed me that there's another way to do this really successfully, or at least aim for it. And that was cool. So she was a really early on kind of punch through the ceiling one for me.
How cool. Are you going to, when all this continues to happen, are you going to take your turtle with you?
The turtle lives with my mom.
What?
And yeah.
Does the turtle have consciousness? Does it remember you?
That's a great question. I enjoy visiting the turtle. We got the turtle when I was 11 too. A lot of stuff happened when I was 11. I got a guitar and a turtle. And then the turtle, I went to college in Albuquerque and then moved to Austin out of college, and the turtle, my mom has such a bond with the turtle that I had to leave the turtle there. We named the turtle Leo because the Ninja Turtles were popular at the time, and then later on we discovered she is a girl, but I think Leo works still.
Oh yeah,
So.
got to be able to.
Yeah.
You got to be able to have that. So.
And she's such a talking point because no one knows how old she is, because she was at least 25, but she was fully grown when we got her. So she could be 60 for all I know. It's incredible.
Isn't it wonderful? I mean,
Yeah.
to be able to see. I mean, when I think of this bag of stardust that's animated, what? How did that work?
Yeah.
How
You
did
think
we,
too hard
against the
about
second law of thermodynamics, actually organize?
It's insane.
Yeah.
So a lot of science and there's a lot
Play
of faith.
us out of here.
and I
Will
don't know.
you just play us something
I got a song
along
for
the
that, I
way
think.
out? Just something that would be fun.
Here's a folk song about kind of an ongoing, why are we here?
Yeah,
Crisis.
perfect. Oh, yes.
Crisis, but good, because
Yeah.
you can write a song about it. So it's called Maps.
Okay.
When we land on this earth, we begin by counting upwards till we're grown and learn the curse that the clock is counting backwards and the fear spins wheels around. We measure miles and stops between. We measure 6 feet in the ground for our last ride in a black machine, and time spent in cars. The middle lines are just stitches that we sew through the dark tiny marks, asphalt and Morse code, maps that get us home. And we're born in a chase, takes us time to turn the key and start. When we get brave, when we recognize our heart, how it beats, how it hums, how sometimes it gets violent, hell on wheels. It just runs on sorcery and science, and our time spent in hearts, the jagged lines are just stitches that we sew through the dark, tiny marks. Arteries and bone, maps that get us home. We look for meaning in celestial friction, the heavens speaking or our intuition. Is it God in our head? Is it dust from our time spent in stars, the grand design? They're just stitches that we sew through the dark, tiny marks, moonlight and north poles, arteries and bones, asphalt and Morse code, maps that get us home. So we land on earth alone, and we land on earth alone.
We did it.
That went fast.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am.
I could talk to you for like 4 hours.
I know, and barely get started, and barely get started on the important subjects that you're working and that you're creating. Thank you for letting me meet you at this time in your life.
Thanks for
That is
having me.
just
It was
that is
awesome.
just a terrific terrific thing. Thank you.